Estoy en vivo. No sé si estoy en vivo desde mi Facebook o estoy en vivo...
No, tienes que ir a la página de Vila.
Pero estoy en el Bluff. A ver, checa. Ahí estoy, ¿no? Sí. Ahí está.
¿Ya estás transmitiendo?
Ya.
Ah, ok.
Ya
Es que no te
estoy.
estoy viendo para compartirlo por todos lados. Déjalo refresh.
Ay, rotate your phone. Dice, you can't turn your phone while recording. Ok, perdón.
Oh, yeah, I see you.
You see me?
But I don't want to talk because then you can introduce yourself.
I can introduce myself. ¿Cómo sé si hay gente? Hay 5 personas. Qué simpáticos. Hi. In English and in Spanish. It's a Spanglish live. Oye, pero Christian Sida, are you gonna do the questions to me?
Yes, Marcelo. Let me ask. Can someone hear me when I'm talking? Yes, people can hear me when I'm talking, so I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And well, Marcelo, thank you very much for joining us. And I'm sorry about the Zoom problem that we had. As I said in my comment before, we couldn't in my brief video before, we couldn't join Zoom for Facebook Live. But anyways, we'll do it next time. Sorry, Marcelo, for being our guinea pig for this sort of events. Thank you very much.
Cool.
You're in Mexico City. We're in Vancouver. And this, and probably a lot of friends of you and I are watching us and saying, why this guy's talking in English?
Sí.
But this is a film intended to all the audiences, people in our newsletter, also in our Facebook. So the link to watch Oso Polar is going to be available today and tomorrow. And we wanted to do this screening for the Vancouver audience, mostly English speakers, some Spanish speakers, but what this possibility to be in Facebook Live give us is the possibility to talk to the whole world. And I thank you for being part of this first conversation. And I go back to what I want to say about the Vancouver audience. Here in Vancouver, we've been during the emergency of COVID-19, we've been at home in the quarantine. And people in Vancouver has been taking this very seriously because there's been a lot of people affected. So I know a lot of people is at home now, and all the shops closed, all Robson Street, the Granville Street is closed 2 weeks ago. So Vancouver was hit very hard by the COVID-19. So a lot of audiences is watching at home, watched the film, saw the film 2 years ago. Vancouver is very sunny today, so maybe some people were walking out, even though Stanley Park was closed for cars, the beaches are closed. A lot of places are closed to go, and people is taking it very serious. I cheer to you and your mezcal, and your tequila or mezcal? Tequila.
Yeah.
And well, I thank you again for being here. I'll be on the Facebook Live seeing if there are questions. Otherwise, I'll be asking the questions. And I guess I don't really want to talk about the iPhone 10, but I want to start talking about it just to get it out of the way, because we are launching a short film contest for Latin Canadian filmmakers that are creating these videos during the COVID-19 crisis. And a lot of people end up at home without their cameras, without equipment that they could borrow at school. So I guess a smartphone, an iPhone, is a great tool nowadays in this moment of crisis for not for time to start creating things with iPhones. What would you recommend when people is creating a short video with the iPhone? And not only what you recommend, tell us about your experience of shooting a first feature-length film completely with the smartphones for these times, and then we move on with more in-depth questions about the film in your career.
Okay, again, the specific question is
the specific question was, sorry, I know you were paying attention in my audio, was people listening, but I think people are listening. I have also someone here checking my audio.
The tips for shooting.
The tips for people shooting with iPhone, since we are running here in Canada, we launched a short
I heard that
video contest. So we want to, just to give an insight for the young Latino filmmakers, Canadians here to see what they can do with a tool such as a smartphone.
Well, I get a lot of questions about how to shoot with smartphones, and I would say that all the answers are online.
I never want to hear from you.
I
as
know.
the first Latin American to do one.
For some reason, yeah. But I mean, I hear it from me. I did it online. I took all my tips from the web. but I mean, honestly, there's not that much magic behind it. You can. What the good thing about iPhones and smartphones in general today is that what you see is what you get. There's not a lot of, I mean, it's not like you're doing 16 millimeters or 8 millimeters and you have no fucking clue what's going on. You know what's going on. You know what looks good. I would say test it. Test the kinds of camera angles, the kinds of colors that your smartphone likes the best. Be careful with light. Be careful with whites. That doesn't mean that you can't go out, but there's a few. I mean, the biggest tip would be that not to use the iPhone, just the machine raw. Try to have an application that gives you control over focus, depth in camera, and oh my god, I'm forgetting all my English. And how do you say that? Not just focus, but aperture.
Yeah.
So you can control how much the depth of field, and you can control your lighting scheme a little bit. And smartphones love natural light, so that's as cheap as you can go. And smartphones you can put in your car, you can put in the tire of your car, you can put in your pocket, you can put in a supermarket cart, you can put on the ceiling, in the fan. So I mean, just go wild. And in the end, the biggest tip you can get from anyone who's used a smartphone as a camera is that, like you said, cameras don't make films. People make films. So you try to be as rigorous with the filmmaking as you would be with any other camera, and just use the lightness and the shape, just the smallness of it in your advantage, but don't make it shitty just because it's a smartphone. You can do great stuff like with any other camera. So that would be it.
Marcelo, I want to talk more in depth about the film and the characters. Humberto Busto is a very popular Mexican actor now. He was he played a role he was playing a role in Narcos, if I'm not mistaken.
El Chapo.
El Chapo. I mean, we saw him many, many years ago as the friend of Gael in Amores Perros. But he's been working throughout all these years, and he's a professional in the sense of, in the good sense of those actors that work year after year in, they do TV series, films, etc. And you said in many interviews that you always thought the role was for Humberto Busto.
Yeah.
And how do you... how do you met Humberto Busto professionally? Where did you see him first? What you saw that you thought it was, good to be the lead character in Oso Polar?
Yeah, I met him through friends. He was in a friend's film called Depositarios, and and then I met him at the party, like the premiere party or something, and we kind of hit it off. He's a cool guy, and I remembered him from Amores Perros, and then in that stage of his career, that was before El Chapo and all the platforms started, giving him great roles. He was getting a lot of sort of cartoonish roles because he's kind of a small guy and with a lot of sense of comedy. So he was getting wigged and and honestly, I just by meeting him and knowing how crazy he really is in life, like he's really like a weird guy. I mean, I love him, but he's weird, which is a good thing. I thought no one was really casting him in stuff that showcased his range and his darkness, I suppose. And so I also wanted to write a film with a protagonist that was different, where the center of the film is not your sort of charismatic hero. He's not just an anti-hero, but kind of a shy, awkward anti-hero that I don't know. We have a kid like that in all of us. So I wanted that kid to have a film, and I thought Humberto Busto, with his face and his, his size, was perfect for it. So I wrote the film for him. And I think, honestly, and afterwards, and in these times, like with social justice and stuff like that, and diversity in film, when you're giving, I was just watching Euphoria in HBO, this TV series, and you get Zendaya. I didn't know that Zendaya, the protagonist, is a really famous singer, because she's kind of a low profile in that series. But you see her face, and those people didn't get to be protagonists of anything, usually. And now they are getting to be protagonists of their own films and TV series, and cinema and series are getting much better because of that, because they're just much more interesting.
And today, I was listening to some interviews to remember your film. I saw your film, and it's been a long time since we saw your film, winning in Morelia in October 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
We met in Yucatan in 2000.
No, but the film we saw Oso Polar.
Yes.
Morelia,
Yes.
2017.
Yes.
And I was listening to some interviews today about the film, and I heard
nobody gave a crap about the film.
nobody gave a crap about the film. Yeah. No, but in the way that the film was created, the idea about the film, it was in a high school reunion. Is that right? It was about the high school reunion and how all this.
Not high school, elementary school.
Elementary school reunion.
Primaria.
That's amazing. You still meet with your primaria, your elementary school.
Yeah, I don't know. I've met them a few times after the film, and I've gotten increasingly annoying with them, and I don't know if they're gonna invite me anymore to the little thing get-togethers.
Especially since you portray them.
Yeah. And actually, they're sort of in the film because the credits, the opening credits, are pictures from my elementary school with them in it, and I am in those pictures and all.
Yeah, and so the story came for you to look in what happens when people meet many years after, right? Can you tell us some more? How do you, for people that saw the film, how do you conceptualize the story based in that?
Yeah. Well, the story is that I went to the elementary school reunion, and I had a lot of fears about it, because I had a tough elementary school time. I was 7 years in the same school, and it was tough. And I don't know. I think in retrospect, I think I was sort of kind of the weird kid. I was bullied some years, and some years I wasn't. Some years I was with the popular kids, and I was just figuring it out like everyone is. So I was scared of seeing them again, and it was fun. And I realized how much things stay with you throughout life after from elementary school. Just huge things in your life. They basically all your basic traumas come from those years when you're like between 6 years old and 12, 13 years old. And so I met with all these people, and we had all changed, and we were all very mature, and it was fun, and we were in our 30s. And then after the gathering, the reunion spread throughout hours, and then after the fourth, fifth hour, everyone was getting a little bit drunk, and by the sixth hour, basically the same groups of people that got together in elementary school were together when we were 30. And then the bullying started again. And then with the memories, people started becoming those people they were in in elementary school. And I thought that was brilliant. That was just, I didn't anticipate that at all. And I thought I have to make a film about this, because if we are still those kids, and if you get all the elementary class together and give them tequila, and then after 6 hours you have those kids again, but with the level of violence that you can have at 30 or something, that's awesome. So that's what made me write the film.
If you have any questions, please write them in the Facebook Live of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. It's the first time we do these kind of videos. And as I said, I see people is joining us now. I say hello to Mexican director Joshua Hill, to Christian Mejia.
He made a fantastic film this year, Joshua. Hola, Joshua. His film is amazing.
Joining, you can leave your comments there, and it's very clear.
The writing of the script was I don't know. I wrote it very quickly. I didn't want to go through a lot of, I don't know, I thought it was very matter of fact because I just used a lot of the stuff that happened in my real life and other people who were bullied. I took their experiences or the way I saw their experiences and I just put them in. So it's a melange of a lot of people that I know from life and their shitty experiences from elementary school. That wasn't hard to capture. And then I wanted to give it, no, I mean, I knew, I wrote the film knowing that I was going to make it with smartphones. So I wanted to to incorporate the element of the smartphone itself, the language of the smartphone. Let's call it the YouTube language into the film because I thought it would be a bad idea to just try to pretend that we're not doing it with smartphones, trying to cover up the fact that we were doing it with a telephone and just completely use it. And that's because I think the language of smartphones is beautiful and the language of cinema is always evolving. And there's a lot of purists who think otherwise and who think this is trash and if you do it this way, you're doing it wrong. And I just read a review of the film a few days ago, and it's just scathing. And I thought, we should read it aloud. But it was just calling me like a complete destroyer of cinema. I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's a piece of shit. And if you incorporate the fact that someone is sort of recording, when you record people and you don't want them to know, and so it's like you basically have it in your pocket or you have it in your hand, so it's upside down. And I use that in the film, and I think it's really awesome, and I really love it how it creates emotion in the film. But some people would say that's just me not knowing anything about cinema or mise en scène or whatever. I don't know. I kind of go astray on your questions, but
who wrote that?
Oh, I found this website called Letterboxd. I suppose.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And I thought, oh, this is fun, and my film is there, and then I read the reviews, and one of the reviews was the first one, and it was like, wow, it was really bad. Like this guy really wanted to punch me, and then I don't know. I think it's kind of grounding to read some of these things because then you realize a lot of people don't like your stuff, and but it has 3.1, so out of 5 stars. So I guess that's not that bad.
Yeah, it's better than many. But you didn't answer the script question. How is it? How fast? How difficult? How clear in your head you had the script?
I knew I wanted it to be a road movie. I knew that with the iPhone, you can get to neighborhoods that you wouldn't take a big camera to, an expensive camera to. I wanted to go to not even to the slums, even though we kind of go into some of them, but I wanted to sort of shoot in like horrible avenues and concrete, and just to make a testament of this Mexico City that we live every day and that I love. I love that it's beautiful and that it's green and then it has parks, and then it's horrible and full of traffic and smog and people are and like street food everywhere. And I knew that I wanted that, and I wanted it to be organic within the story of these 3 characters from elementary school getting together, trying to go to a party, and not being able to get there.
So, the process of writing it, you had it clear then?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I'm more. I write more than I direct, so yeah, I knew what I wanted to write. And I knew who my characters were because I knew that the main character, who's played by Humberto Busto, was like a mixture of me in different ages, me in secondary school and in elementary school, and some other bullied people that I met. And but the other 2, the bullies, I knew who they were because I basically met them again at my elementary school reunion. So I thought, it has to be them, but they have little bits and pieces of shitty people that I've met in life. And I never like to write villains and heroes because I don't believe in them. I think everyone is their own hero in their own movie. So it was fun to try to write the bullies as people who had their own shit, and their own reasons for being shitty, and they were victims themselves of other people. And that's why the how do you call it, not the slogan, I forget the term, but of the film is everyone is someone else's executioner.
Marcelo, I had a question in Espanol, so we can talk a bit in Spanish. Amber Gabriela, it's not a question, but Amber Gabriela de Aguascalientes, México, comenta sobre la corrida de exhibición que tuviste y que fue muy bonito la forma en que apostaste por la exhibición alternativa. ¿Nos puedes decir cómo fue la forma de exhibición alternativa de Oso Polar para quienes no lo sepan? The question in English is, Marcelo did an alternative way of distributing his film in Mexico, and the question is, how did he do this alternative distributing way so people understand how an indie Mexican film gets distribution in Mexico?
Yeah. Yo creo que deberían de todos beber un poco para que sea divertido. I'll do it in English. The question, right? The answer.
In English, yeah.
Bueno, lo siento. Yeah, well, I knew that I wanted to. You know, I'm all about DIY, do it yourself, everything. Just because that gives you freedom to create and it stops frustration. You don't get frustrated from people not wanting to distribute your film, not wanting to give your money to make your film. So we made it with iPhones. It would be stupid to wait for people to distribute us, you know, because I thought no one is going to want to distribute this film. So I just, this is my third film. So I had met already with some people from cinematheques around Mexico, and small like theaters and how do you say cineclub in English?
Cineclub.
Yeah, like
film club.
Yeah, film clubs and stuff like that. So I created my own route. I gave myself space within my work. And I said, you know, I'm going to spend a couple of months just going around the country, taking the film with me. And I contacted earlier in the year a lot of these people, and I said, you know, I have this film. I would love to I would love to take it there. And most people, the 95% said awesome. Even like the Cineteca Nacional, the Cinematheque in Mexico City, which has like millions of people. So I was able to create, basically we took it to, out of 31 states, we took it to about 27. And I took it myself. My selling point was, I'm going to go there. You don't have to pay for me going, because I saved some money to take buses around the country. And I just said, just give me somewhere to sleep. And if you want to give me something to drink, that'd be great. And most people were happy to do it. And it was a great experience, because then everybody, you know, just a lot of people who wanted to see it immediately could see it. And then we got, and then I just put it online on Vimeo, and for $1.99 you could see it. And that's it.
By the way, someone is asking if your film is a feature film. Yes, Oso Polar is a feature film that is available for free today and tomorrow at the website of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival, or it's actually on our Facebook right now in the top. There is a link where you can watch Oso Polar today and tomorrow. High quality English subtitles, and it's a legal copy because it was given to us by Marcelo. Somebody had a couple of technical questions en español, Marcelo. Voy a hacerlas en español.
Yes.
Esa pregunta: hay un momento donde los personajes están en el semáforo y pasa un señor con basura. ¿Eso lo planeaste?
No. He's saying that there's a moment in the film where they're in the car, and there's the garbage man with this big like cart is just going through the frame. And of course not. I mean, we were just shooting reality. And I had a continuity person in this film, Misael, hello, who hates me because I just didn't give a shit about continuity. I usually don't. I think continuity is very overrated. And in order to get that kind of thing in your film, to kind of get the garbage man coming through and trucks and people just talking on their phones in real life and just having your characters interact with reality, you have to not give a fuck about continuity, and then just figure out a way to shoot your coverage so that it can cut. And most things cut. People are not, if your film is interesting, people don't care about continuity. With that garbage man particularly, the way to tie him in was to just extend the sound of him having his cart into the other shots, and then it works, and it looks like you're planning everything, and it's huge production values for free.
Mario Raleigh has a question that you are gonna like. Mario Raleigh, he lives here in Vancouver. Some argue that many of the greatest directors of our time are dicks. Hitchcock, Kubrick, Iñárritu.
Oh.
Do you think you need to be a dick to be a good leader director? How so?
Well, you don't even have to have a dick now to be a great contemporary director. No, that's the best part of it. I was just watching the masterclass by David Lynch, and I didn't know, but I am in absolute community with his way of thinking. And he said, people who are dictators on set and who try to lead their sets by being dictators and being shitty and being aggressive and inspiring fear are not just wrong, but they're idiots. Because the best way to get your crews and your actors best ideas and collaboration and creativity, to have them completely open so that they give everything they have every day, is for them to be relaxed, for them to feel like they're doing a good job. And that is your job, to make them feel relaxed and to make them to acknowledge every day that people are doing their best, and to acknowledge that extra little thing that everybody does, from the sound guy to the person who is cleaning the set, And I am absolutely against this whole idea, this whole Orwellian, Orson Welles idea of the big director who is like, oh, I know, I have the best ideas. That's bullshit. I mean, honestly, you just have to kind of channel everyone, create a good environment and bring the best people for this film, and be the channel of all these great ideas. And that's your job. Your job is not, maybe if you have how do you say that? Un problema de autoestima, a self-esteem problem, then yeah, you need to be a dictator. I think there's a lot of things with entitlement too, no? This whole thing about making my $20 million film, and it's great. And I just watched Lawrence of Arabia, and some films just need to be like that, I guess. And there's no way to survive them unless you sort of are. In my experience, when I get really, I have to really focus and concentrate, I just tell people, I can't really talk much today. I can't be nice today. I'm not going to be an asshole, but I just say, I'm not going to be as friendly today. I'm going to try to move away and keep focused on what I have to think. And then people are like, okay, he's having a bad day, or his energy is not as great today, but I'm not going to be an asshole. So I guess that answers the question.
Some people is commenting on the sound and music, but Adan Herrera, our friend in Mexico City, is answering that in the comment on Facebook. So
good.
We're covered with simple questions such as if it was 5.1, which was mixed 5.1, etc. Right? Marcelo, you lived in Vancouver, and this screen is intended to be addressed for our Vancouver audience. How do you like Vancouver? What did you do in Vancouver? When do you live here? Tell us about your life in Vancouver. Which bars did you visit? What kind of bars?
They're all closed. What kind
of bars?
What kind of dark caves and dark holes? They're all closed, I think. I was there in 2002 and 2003 because I was studying there. And I had the privilege of being able to choose where I wanted to study for my third year of filmmaking. And my mother was supporting me for this. Throughout my career, she supported me. And I really wanted to live in a place where it sounded like it was perfect. Coming from Mexico City, I wanted to see if it was true that some places were perfect. And I think Vancouver is pretty much as close. I think Australia and Vancouver are the closest I've seen to just perfection. Nature and water, and people are calm, and I thought it was awesome. I go to Vancouver every once in a while just because it gets me back to a good place of myself. But it's also a little bit boring, isn't it? I need a little bit of conflict, and I need conflict. So yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Luis Sosa en español. Marcelo, me declaro super fan de Oso Polar. No es lo mismo tener el tiempo en cine donde no puedes poner pausa y repetir escenas. Y aquí me encantó poder repetir escenas para entender cómo la armaste. Y la verdad es que es una locura. Mi pregunta es, ¿la gente en la azotea son actores? ¿Cómo llegaste a eso? ¿Y por qué la morra aceptó esa fiesta?
No, yeah, he's talking about the scene in the, I don't know, it's like a clandestine party in a rooftop in the middle of a slum in Mexico City, and it's a dangerous place. And so he's asking, why does the female character accept to go into this kind of party? And I think she has a little quality that I have. She's curious, and she likes to drink. So she feels, I think the female character, who, by the way, the actress won like the Mexican Academy Award for this role, which was kind of crazy, because she's a comedian. She had no idea what the fuck we were doing with this film. But I think the character has a quality that she's sort of the man of the archetypical male role, the big bully and the violent, strong, self-centered character is a woman in this film. And she just goes to the party because why the fuck not? She has her bodyguard, who's this other guy, Trujillo, the other character. She just snaps her fingers at him, and she just feels she can do anything. And she goes in, and in the end, I mean, as you can see in the film, she gets away with everything. Violence goes towards Heriberto, not to her, because she's sort of aspirational to them, I suppose. I don't know. So that was one of the questions from Luis, and the other one was if they were actors. That is my absolute favorite sequence of the film, and I learned a lot making that sequence. And it's a technique that I've used in the TV series that I directed now, and I think it's fantastic. And that is mixing these people were actors, but they were sort of a troupe of, how do you say, actores de la calle, like street actors. So they had a little group of like really marginal actors who do stuff on the streets in Nesa. And I asked them to just collaborate. I gave them a very basic idea of what they were doing in that party, and then I told the actors what the scene was about, and then it was just like, let's do it. And we just ran the whole scene, and people were improvising, sort of knowing what their objectives were. But a lot of the stuff was just them being crazy. Everyone, like all of them, Heriberto and everyone. And it was great.
I just want to remind people watching now, the film Oso Polar is available today and tomorrow. You can find it in the website of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. Also, I just saw our board member, Cristian Mejia, posting the link in the comments of this conversation at the Facebook of our festival. You can find the link for today and tomorrow, high resolution English subtitles and with the authorization of Marcelo Tobar.
The actress of the film, Verónica Toussaint, just started watching this, so we just...
Hola, Verónica Toussaint.
Acabamos de hablar de ti, Verónica.
Marcelo, before we let you go, I'll check if there are more questions from our audience here in Vancouver or anywhere in the world. Aquí pueden también poner las preguntas en español o en English en el video en la página del Facebook del Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. Marcelo, you have a new film that was about to be premiered at the Guadalajara Film Festival in Mexico. Guadalajara Film Festival was one of the events postponed due to the crisis. It's called Los Idealistas. I have to say it's a beautiful title for a film. Mm-hmm. Los Idealistas. What would be in English? I don't think it's what is it in English?
Well, the original title was Los Idealistas, the Idealists, but it changed to El Club de los Idealistas, so it would be the Idealists Club.
And what was the film about? What the film represents for you? Is also a big budget film. You are used to working in small productions with your own films.
Not anymore. I mean, you have to think that Oso Polar is 2015. I mean, we premiered it in 2017. But, well, it's been in 3 years, a lot has happened. And Well, that film, yeah, that was a $1 million film, which was like a huge, huge deal for me. The whole idea of that film was making a commercial film that I would like to watch, which is not common in Mexican cinema. That commercial films are just really stuff that I find unwatchable, a lot of them, I'm sorry. And I thought, and people always sort of say it's because the audience wants that, and that has always been said about Latin American audiences, that we are just, we have bad taste and that's why they give a shit. And it's not that, it's the opposite. It's that the only thing that we have available is shit, and then telenovelas forever, right? And I thought, no, man, let's give people more credit and let's try to make something that is commercial, that is like a 3-act structure, sort of feel-good comedy about nostalgia and friends and stuff, but that is commercial, and that is commercial, but that is also, that has heart, that has acting, that has reality in it, that has true emotion in it, and not just like just people like, I don't know, stupid stuff. So that was the idea behind that, and I hope, I don't know, we were gonna premiere this film this next summer, but now we're moving this because of coronavirus, so we don't know when we're gonna premiere that.
And Marcelo, and what do you think, feel, or what were your thoughts about stepping to another dimension of creating films? You have a contract with Cinépolis. Cinépolis is one of the largest cineplexes in the world. It's based in Mexico, and they have cinemas all over Latin America, even in India. So
and the US.
Mexicans go to cinema a lot, to the theaters.
Yeah, they're in the US too. That's a big deal.
Even though people thinking is that people are not going to the theaters, people are still going to the theaters. But in the question of, you wanted to make a film that people would like to see in theaters, a commercial film. But what does it represent to you? Do you want to keep making big films? You go back to make your very personal films? Doesn't matter to you?
Yeah. Well, I think every film that I make and that people make should be personal, no matter the scope of the audience. You know, if you want to make a big film, it doesn't mean that it's not personal. It has to always be personal, because it should be personal for every audience member, person. So if it's not personal to you, then it will mean nothing to anyone. I'm just thinking about Bridesmaids, for example, that I think it's a great comedy, and then it's as personal as you can get. Or, great films like The Hangover, like commercial, I'm just thinking commercial films. But yeah, I think I come from, it's funny because when I made The Idealists, El Club de los Idealistas, some people criticized me and said, you forgot, you're like betraying your indie roots and stuff like that. And I feel that's so deterministic and so stupid, because what does it mean? It means that some people are meant to make big films and some people are meant to, belong in like no budget guerrilla filmmaking. I think that's bullshit. My whole idea is that you can make great things with whatever you have, a lot of money, little money, no money. But there is a certain thing about guerrilla filmmaking and small budget, like no budget filmmaking, that I find fantastic, and that is the freedom to experiment and having no debtors, like you don't owe anything to anyone. When you're making a big film using money from the state, I felt responsible to create something that people would want to watch. And when I just wrote a film that I'm going to make with no money, and I think one of my co-producers is in here. We're going to make it in Guadalajara in January. It's like a no budget thing, because we're going to just keep trying to push buttons of cinema, trying to make crazy things, and without knowing if anyone wants to watch it. And then it's funny because that's how I made Oso Polar, and it's my most popular, I suppose, successful film. We're going to see about El Club de los Idealistas. We don't know.
Marcelo, vamos a ir terminando en español. We're going to start finishing this talk in Spanish, as was recommended by here my superior at the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival.
She should say hello.
Marcelo, un par de preguntas. Bueno, aquí hay una pregunta del Facebook. Cristian Mejía, aquí nuestro amigo ecuatoriano canadiense, pregunta: ¿qué distribuidor está interesado en algo independiente mexicano? ¿Cómo es el compromiso del distribuidor o agente de ventas? aquí refiriéndose al cine independiente, ¿cuál es el compromiso del agente de ventas y cuál distribuidor recomendarías en México para para una película de autor?
No, yo creo que tenemos que empezar a pensar de otra manera. O sea, esa pregunta me parece pertinente hace 3 años o 2, incluso hace 3 meses, pero hoy tenemos que darnos cuenta que las cosas han cambiado, que no puedes... O sea, el cine de autor en México tiene un público muy pequeño, la gran mayoría de la gente lo va a ver en plataformas, creo que o sea, cuando uno piensa en exhibir una película o en un agente de ventas, está pensando o en que la gente la vea o en ganar dinero. Si quieres ganar dinero con cine de autor, lo vas a tener muy difícil. Creo que las plataformas es donde más dinero puedes ganar, a veces con las aerolíneas y este tipo de ventas. Creo que esas ventas muchas veces las puedes hacer tú y no necesitas intermediarios. Creo que justamente estamos entrando en una etapa en la que los intermediarios cada vez van sobrando más, sobre todo para el cine de autor. Creo que hay plataformas como Amazon, o sea, de repente tienen perfiles distintos y les interesan películas distintas y pues ahí puedes ganar una lana. Creo que cuando hablas de tener un distribuidor, un agente de ventas para una película pequeñita, que la lleve a que la vea masivamente la gente, va a ser difícil. Yo por eso prefiero mis películas chiquitas, pues, llevarlas yo por donde yo quiera y soltarlas en internet cuando yo quiera y con la anuencia de mi productora, en este caso de Elsa Reyes.
Un aplauso a Elsa Reyes.
Y bueno, pues eso. Luego hay más preguntas, ¿no? Hay que contestarle las preguntas porque pues, si no, ¿para qué las hicieron?
Es que ¿sabes? Vuelvo a repetir, esta es la primera vez que hacemos esto, lo habíamos dicho en inglés, no nos salió el Zoom compartido, aunque tenemos la membresía, es bastante complicado el Zoom, aunque no parezca.
Yo ya llevo 3 tequilas, así que ya pueden preguntar cosas más manchadas.
Me están registrando las preguntas. I'll repeat again, the link of Oso Polar, it's available today and tomorrow at the website of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival with English subtitles and high resolution. El link para ver la película Oso Polar de Marcelo está disponible en este momento en el sitio web y también en el Facebook del Vancouver Latin American Film Festival en alta resolución. Está disponible solo hoy y mañana para que la puedan ver. Marcelo, para ir terminando te quería hacer una pregunta más personal acerca de esto que estamos haciendo. ¿Qué piensas tú de estos encuentros virtuales? ¿Qué piensas? Definitivamente este virus nos está haciéndonos pensar a muchos otros, los que trabajamos en eventos culturales donde la idea es reunir gente, unirnos, hablar, etcétera. ¿Qué piensas de estos encuentros virtuales? Habrá festivales que están mutando a ser virtuales porque los tiempos así lo llamaron, festivales que pasaron estos días.
South by Southwest va a estar en Amazon.
Southwest va a estar en Amazon, el festival Trans de Seattle que dirige nuestra programadora y amiga Kathleen Mullen, está en este momento, va a pasar online. Y muchos festivales, a mí nos recomendaba una universidad de aquí que fuera el caso pasáramos el festival a virtual, que yo no lo haría, a lo mejor haríamos una versión más pequeña, no sabemos qué va a pasar, pero ¿tú qué piensas de estos encuentros? Y también he visto unos artículos, hoy compartí el Festival Documental Doxa, nuestros queridos amigos del Festival Documental aquí de Vancouver, un artículo muy interesante sobre que los teatros, las salas de cine, esos lugares que nos dan encuentro, pues se podrían perder, y hay festivales que van a tomar la decisión de no hacer encuentros virtuales. ¿Tú cómo ves? Sobre todo en la visualización de películas, de obras de teatro, no de charlas como la que estamos haciendo. Claro.
Yo creo que hay que hacer una combinación de ambas cosas, sería el ideal. Creo que el hecho de tener una sala real, con gente real, un Q&A real, donde tienes al cineasta, no solo el cineasta, sino ver una película en comunidad con gente afín al cine de autor, les gusta o no les gusta la película que ven en ese momento, eso no va a acabar nunca, ¿no? Creo que se está acotando cada vez más porque a la gente cada vez le da más hueva salir, Pero creo que tal vez por lo mismo los festivales de cine se van a volver lugares más intensos de debate, porque quien va realmente con ganas, ¿no? Con ganas de ver películas, con con curiosidad y hambre de arte. Bueno, eso por un lado. Y, o sea, por el otro me parece que está bien chido poder hacer esto. O sea, de repente ver una película online y platicarla, hacer un Q&A online con la gente, pues está increíble, ¿no? ¿Por qué no? ¿Por qué no? También, o sea, no. Esta cosa como medio blanco y negro de no, es que es deshumanizante y no. Yo siento que se complementan las experiencias y el coronavirus nos está dando lecciones de vida muy cabronas, no solamente en cómo relacionarnos unos con los otros. Creo que es la experiencia de todo el mundo que en el encierro hemos estado más en contacto que estando afuera, porque estamos tan ocupados haciendo tantas mamadas que no le hablamos a nuestras abuelitas y a nuestros papás y a nuestros amigos. Pues sí, pero luego pues te echas, ¿no? Y encontramos el valor en eso, que habíamos perdido el valor que tiene eso. De repente hablamos 40 minutos con nuestra tía en Pachuca y te das cuenta que eso te da una retroalimentación tan cañona que ¿por qué no le volverías a hacer espacio en tu vida a eso una vez que puedas salir a la calle, en lugar de estar en el teléfono todo el día o en el trabajo nomás haciéndose la mamada? Eso pienso.
Y hay mucha gente que manda saludos, que no hacen preguntas de Perú, de Los Ángeles, de Aguascalientes. Hay mucha gente que manda saludos, bueno, saludos de vuelta virtualmente a todos, abrazos virtuales. Me está mandando aquí 3 preguntas, las vamos a ir contestando como las pregunten, en inglés o en español, así hacemos además todo más multilingüe. Marlio asks in English, for people who are not familiar with Mexican filmmakers, tell us a Mexican veteran filmmaker to explore their films, or to keep an eye on, a Mexican filmmaker. You can answer in English this question.
A Mexican filmmaker.
Can I answer that question, please?
Sí, claro.
I'm sorry, I need attention. And then you answer that question. I think a Mexican filmmaker to keep an eye on is Julio Hernández Cordón, the creator of Te Prometo Anarquía. It was an opening film here in 2017. We also presented Gasolina from him. It's a film he made in Guatemala. Atrás hay Relámpagos. That's a film he made in Costa Rica. And we presented Las Marimbas del Infierno. There are many films from Julio Hernández Cordón, and I think he's always a Mexican filmmaker to keep an eye on. And the greatest, for me, are Carlos Regadas, Amate Escalante, for me are one of those that I always keep on. I just wanted to say that, Marcelo.
I agree. Julio Hernández Cordón is probably my favorite living, like, Mexican filmmaker right now, because he's exciting. You don't know what he's going to do next, and I think that's exciting. I really would recommend him. Yeah.
Now, Luis Sosa asks another question. Gracias, Luis, por estar aquí en las redes del Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. Pregunta, ¿cómo fue tu proceso de preparación de las escenas antes del rodaje, ensayos y en set? Y una anécdota que pueda servir como una masterclass de dirección tuya.
Madres. ¿Qué pedo con los ensayos? Yo no ensayo. No, yo tengo una idea de que el cine no es teatro, y entonces ensayar no sirve para nada en el cine. O sea, sirve para que la gente se sienta tranquila de que no va a llegar sin saber qué hacer, pero yo creo que esa es una de las grandes virtudes de llegar al set y no estar del todo seguro de qué es lo que va a pasar. Porque si estás abierto a los accidentes y a la vida misma, a si llueve, si sale el sol, si a la persona, si al actor o a la actriz le duele el estómago o se peleó con su pareja, esa emoción es la que quieres capturar. No quieres capturar otra, quieres capturar esa, y que esa entre dentro del molde que es el guión y la historia que estás contando. Yo no ensayo, lo único que hago es a lo mejor esto es lo del masterclass. Yo, mi recomendación es que algo que sí necesitas hacer es, hago un ensayo con los actores principales, donde hacemos la escena tal vez más larga o más representativa de la película, y esto lo hago únicamente para encontrar el tono de la película, de las actuaciones. O sea, intentamos muchas cosas y entonces todos estamos de acuerdo que cada uno de sus personajes está más bien en este tono, más bien en este tono. Y cuando hablamos de tono, hablamos de una manera de estar en el mundo, de estar en la vida, de cómo de cómo hablas, de la cadencia de las cosas. Entonces ahí encuentras un poco la dirección de actores, adquiere como una directriz y por otro lado un ritmo, ¿no? Y eso lo hacemos en un día. Y eso lo he hecho en todas mis películas. Solamente un día en el que todo el mundo puede decir sus dudas sobre el personaje, intentar cosas. Pero luego en el set no. En el set llegas y es la primera vez que haces las cosas. Y yo suelo... Otro tip tal vez es que las cosas se suelen... Cuando haces muchas tomas, porque no sé, se acabó, no sé, hubo un relámpago, llovió, chocaron y tienes que hacerlo 7 veces, los actores naturalmente suelen repetirse a sí mismos y anticipar lo que el otro actor está haciendo. Entonces se empiezan a acartonar las cosas y yo suelo cambiar los diálogos, suelo darles dirección a un actor que no conoce el otro actor para que los sorprenda en escena. Entonces todo el tiempo hay que mantenerlos alerta para que cada toma que haces sea en el momento. Y entonces, aunque uses una parte de la toma 1 y una parte de la toma 7, siempre están vivos, ¿no? No están actuando, que es lo que yo odio, que actúen. No me interesa la actuación así. Creo que eso responde a la cosa.
Ámbar pregunta, ¿cómo convenciste a la productora de hacer una película con iPhones? ¿Fue difícil convencerla? ¿Consideras que es más difícil conseguir presupuesto y apoyo en un proyecto como este en comparación de algo más convencional? Pregunta Ámbar.
Sí, claro, es mucho más difícil, por eso no pedí apoyo. Hice un Kickstarter, una fondeadora, y pedí dinero a la gente que le interesa que yo siga haciendo cine, y con ese dinero hicimos la película con 300,000 pesos. A la productora la emborraché, no me dejará mentir, la puse ebria, le invité unos ginebras, la puse muy borracha y le dije, te propongo hacer una película con teléfonos. Y me dijo, seguro, a huevo. Y luego, pues ya, un año después ya estábamos haciendo la película, no tenía de otra.
Oye, quiero hablar, antes de hacerte la otra pregunta que venga, al final que estamos en el Facebook y cuando digas colgamos.
Yo feliz.
Quisiera que habláramos un poquito de Elsa Reyes, que fue tu productora. Ella ha producido películas como Workers de Pepe Valle, una película de mis películas favoritas mexicanas de los últimos 10 años. Bueno, muchísimas películas ha producido Elsa, muchas que han pasado acá en el Vancouver Latin American Festival. Ciertamente dices como hiciste a Elsa con unas ginebras, pero fue como un cierto honor tener a una productora del nivel de Elsa produciendo una película así como con la tuya con iPhones. Además de que son muy buenos amigos, tener a Elsa de tu lado es algo fabuloso para un proyecto tan aventado, digamos.
Sí, totalmente, porque Elsa es la mano de hierro en producción, en producción en línea. O sea, conseguir los fierros, conseguir de repente alguien que te haga videoasisto, alguien que te haga continuidad, porque tiene una carrera muy larga y la gente la quiere mucho porque sabe que trata a la gente con respeto, y además que las películas que ella escoge siempre tienen corazón. O sea, ella las escoge por eso. Entonces a mí que ella me avalara, pues hizo que se acercara gente del crew que yo no conocía, y que gracias a eso pues se aventaron el tirito con nosotros. Otras personas, por ahí Omar Robles preguntaba que cómo escogía al fotógrafo, ella, por ejemplo, fue quien me puso en contacto con el fotógrafo, que estuvo cabrón porque pues nadie quería hacer una película con teléfonos, pues qué raro. Pero otra banda pues la vas conociendo. Ese es otro tip, ¿no? Que también la cosa de los festivales de cine, que es un lugar de encuentro, y los cineclubes en general, o sea, ir a ver películas con gente que le gusta ver ese tipo de películas, te hace conocer banda que está dispuesta a no cobrar, para colaborar en un proyecto en el que pues se va a poner el corazón, y estás pensando pues no sé, estás pensando en hacer una cosa personal, loca, chingona, que vas a aprender del otro, del cine, de la vida. Y por eso hacemos estas películas gratis, ¿no? Pero ¿dónde vas a conocer a tus aliados si no es en donde todo el mundo se junta a ver esas películas? Yo ahí he conocido a la mayoría de la banda con la que hago cine independiente. La película que viene totalmente independiente que vamos a hacer, pues a Omar y a Eduardo Robles y Esquivel, que son de Guadalajara, los conocí también festivaleando en el Festival de Guadalajara, en las borracheras de las fiestas, o sea, ahí hablando de cine y de dónde está el cuarto oscuro de Guadalajara.
Javier Barajas is the president of the board of directors of this organization, the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival, is reminding everybody that to continue having screenings like this, and like when we had you in the past, we need to keep supporting arts organizations like the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. For all Canadians, though, and Vancouverites, that supporting the arts in Canada are very important to keep having this event, especially now in these times. Gracias, Javier, por recordarnos la importancia de dar los festivales de artes, sobre todo en estos tiempos, porque no sabemos lo que va a pasar. Omar Robles, quien es un cineasta jaliscense afincado en Guadalajara, a quien le mandamos un abrazo, preguntaba cómo escogiste el club de la película, en específico al fotógrafo. Ya respondiste que Elsa te recomendó al fotógrafo, pero yo quisiera que agregaras más en el fotógrafo, porque no cualquier fotógrafo, porque lo dijiste muy levemente, pero no es como que cualquier fotógrafo.
Es que no me habla.
Peliculita en iPhone.
No me habla el fotógrafo.
¿Cómo fue todo eso con el fotógrafo?
La verdad es que yo quería... O sea, lo que más me interesaba era un técnico. Alguien que me asegurara que lo que estábamos filmando en el teléfono no era desechable, no era como puta, pues a ver cómo sale. Entonces necesitaba a alguien que se pusiera las pilas a entender bien cómo era la mejor manera de sacar lo mejor del teléfono. Y Mauricio Novelo, que fue el fotógrafo de Oso Polar, más bien es un director. O sea, él tiene mucho conocimiento técnico, pero es un director de documentales muy locos, que yo les recomiendo. O sea, con una voz muy particular, y se aventó el reto de entender cómo hacer que un teléfono se convirtiera en una herramienta de creación de arte, y con esta visión que tiene como nada ortodoxa, fue que hicimos buena dupla, porque yo le dije, no vamos a iluminar nada, no vamos a usar luz natural toda la película. Me dijo, perfecto. Yo soy muy clavado en componer mis cuadros y en o sea, no soy un director que dice, yo voy a dirigir a los actores y resuélveme por allá. Hago las dos cosas. Y él la verdad estaba muy preocupado de que las cosas estuvieran en foco, de que no se reventaran los blancos. Y Mauricio fue un super aliado para eso. Yo la verdad le aplaudo mucho la resiliencia que tuvo en Oso Polar, porque no tuvo necesariamente tanta libertad como fotógrafo. O sea, era un camarógrafo experimentando con una cosa nueva. Luego de repente tuvo sus momentos, porque, por ejemplo, en muchas escenas del coche en el que van los tres personajes, pues imagínense, está los tres personajes más el fotógrafo, que era también el cámara, más el sonidista, y yo no podía ir. Entonces de repente los tenía que mandar, y obviamente no teníamos video assist, no teníamos dónde ver. Entonces yo los mandaba, les daba indicaciones, y se iban y hacían de ida una toma y de vuelta otra toma, y luego ya la revisaba. Y él me empezó a agarrar la onda estética que yo buscaba, y ahí hay muchas cosas donde él colaboró, unas imágenes muy lindas. Específicamente recuerdo cuando entran en el túnel, que lo coreografiamos para que cuando reciben una llamada, de repente cuando termina la llamada entran a un túnel y todo se oscurece. Y ahí fue fue el fotógrafo solito, ¿no? Midiendo los tiempos de las cosas, y la neta me quito el sombrero por Mauricio.
Aquí sigue habiendo más preguntas. Cristian Mejía, aquí en Vancouver, pregunta en español: haces una película independiente, la pasas bomba, la distribuyes por tu lado y escribes otra para hacer otra, ¿y cómo generas dinero? ¿Haces comerciales? ¿Tienes un trabajo de 9 a 5? ¿O la familia apoya machín?
No, la familia apoyó en mis inicios. Mi primera película, e incluso en la segunda todavía mi madre me ayudó a salir de una deuda, pero ya después de eso la verdad es que ya no. Ahorita ya soy yo. Lo que yo hago para vivir es escribir televisión. He escrito 10 años, ya voy para 11 años de escribir televisión. Entonces le dedico un rato a escribir, ahorro una parte y pues reinvierto la lana en hacer mis obras pequeñitas. Y luego, pues para las grandes, sí es hacer carpetas y tener coproductores y tal. Y es este sistema súper largo que yo no podría sobrevivir esperando cada vez, no sé, 4 años para hacer una película. A mí no lo puedo comprender. La onda de hacer películas chiquitas es que nadie te puede negar la posibilidad de hacerlas. Y tal cual, yo sería capaz de hacer una película ahorita en el coronavirus encerrado en mi casa si esa fuera mi necesidad, y la podría hacer sin problema, con todo el rigor, y eso te da libertad y te da paz como creador. Y yo se los recomiendo ampliamente, la neta.
Pregunta Josefina Llanos, ¿dónde podemos ver el Club de los Idealistas? Habíamos dicho que se iba a estrenar en Guadalajara. Por ahora está pospuesto el estreno.
Pues se estrenará en Guadalajara cuando exista otra vez el Festival de Guadalajara. Y creo que esa película sí va a tener una amplia distribución en cientos de cines. Me imagino que la venderemos a una plataforma netflixera y que el próximo año pues todo el mundo, en todo el mundo podrán tener acceso a ver el Club de los Idealistas.
Voy a hacer una votación en la página de Facebook del Vancouver Latin American Film Festival para que la podamos presentar en Vancouver, en la pantalla grande y no solo en Netflix.
Pero no es el perfil de tu festival. Podemos hacer una presentación especial así de buena onda.
Alguien preguntaba aquí que si hablabas de tu película 2000 metros. Ay, perdí aquí el mensaje.
Ya tiene tanto. Mi primera película.
Coméntanos brevemente en ambos. Tell us a bit in English and Spanish about your first film. I say when you came to Vancouver, dije cuando viniste a Vancouver, you were the champion for making these films with no budget. You were like, I'm gonna make these films and I'm gonna make them. And before also Polar, that was shot in iPhone, you had Asteroide and then 2000 metros bajo el nivel del mar.
Yeah.
Tell us about your first film, tell us something about it and if we can find it online.
You can find it online. Sí, la tengo libre. I can give you the link for if you want to.
If you can send it to me, I will post it in the link that is called in our website, the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. There is a link at BILAF at Home where you can find some of the past films that were shown at the BILAF. We can add Marcelo's first film.
La verdad, la primera película la hice a los 27 años. Estaba trabajando en un call center y dije no, porque ya me vi a dónde voy y ya no quiero. Entonces dije no, voy a hacer una película el próximo año, la tengo que estar filmando, y me puse las pilas y la hice. Muy, muy, muy barata también, costó 180,000 pesos y la escribí. Creo que ese es otro tip importante, que cuando quieres hacer las cosas baratas, o sea, quieres estar seguro de que puedes filmar, tienes que escribir pensando en producción. Entonces pensé escribir algo que yo sabía que podía conseguir. Eran 4 personajes en una casa, y esa película me enseñó todo lo que sé para todo en todos los sentidos. Y en cuanto a producción, lo que aprendí de esa película fue lo más duro que he vivido como profesional, porque la productora se peleó conmigo a la mitad de la película y el conflicto escaló a tal nivel que casi, o sea, me tenía un poco a punto de cerrarme la película a la mitad, y yo pensé, pues al final no la voy a hacer, no se va a hacer, y todos los días era una lucha por tratar de que saliera ese día. Entonces dirigí contra viento y marea y sin lana y todo, y al final logramos que la película pues viajara un poquito, se estrenó en la Cineteca, y de ahí aprendí lo que no se debe de hacer, sobre todo, la neta.
Verónica Toussaint pregunta, ¿cómo fue tu dupla con Feru?
Fernanda Iguarte es que Fernanda es una gran escritora mexicana, y es ella es la showrunner de la serie para la que me contrató ella para dirigir todos los capítulos. Casi el 80%, 70% de la serie la dirigí yo, que se llama Amarres, y se estrena este año en algún momento en HBO Max. ¿Cómo fue mi dupla con...? No, pero pues ese es otro tema, ¿no? Es para otro chat.
Estamos preguntando.
La neta, sí valdría la pena. Un día deberíamos de hacer un chat sobre guionismo. O sea, hay tantas cosas que hablar sobre guionismo. Y ahí invitamos a Fernanda Guiarte, que es una máster del guionismo. Y hablamos de cómo está la onda, cómo están los tiros en el mundo del guionismo, en la televisión, que es lo que mueve hoy, la verdad, el contenido mundial, ¿eh?
Pamela Zubia dice, perdón por repetir la pregunta, pero quisiera saber qué lo llevó a elegir específicamente los corruptos, ingratos y abusivos. Me disculpo, no vi la primera pregunta yo, Marcelo. ¿Qué contestas?
Es claro, los corruptos son los títulos, ¿no? Pues es que, claro, es que todo este concepto, en Oso Polar había un concepto del flashback, que es la vida del protagonista, que yo la quise, más que flashbacks, es el contenido del teléfono del protagonista, ¿no? Y esa fue mi manera de incluir el lenguaje del teléfono como una herramienta dramática y narrativa. Y había toda una cosa alrededor de un sueño que tiene su amante, de si apretar, eso es un sueño que yo tuve, la neta, que era si apretaras el botón, que es muy pertinente para las épocas del coronavirus. Si tuvieras, Dios llegaba y me daba el botón, no sé si era Dios, pero era alguien así como muy poderoso. Era él o Putin. Y me decía, si tuvieras el botón para acabar con la mitad de la humanidad, porque sobramos muchas personas, ¿lo apretarías o no? Y yo me acuerdo que cuando me desperté muy angustiado pensaba, creo que sí lo apretaría, pero la única manera de apretarlo sería si yo me fuera también, porque pues eso me haría una mierda de persona también. Y entonces, ¿cuál sería el parámetro de quiénes deberían de morir, no? Y cuando escribí el guión, para hacerlo muy sucinto, pensaba que son los corruptos, los insensibles, y ya se me olvidó cuáles son los otros.
Bueno, ahora sí vamos a ir terminando porque va a ser 1 hora. And we thank you very much, Marcelo. We're going to be wrapping up soon. It's going to be 1 hour. And we thank you for joining this first chat that was supposed to be me joining you, but I think it's been great because everybody can hear my voice. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I think it's good. So we can ask the questions. There are a couple more questions. Alicia asks, Netflix está financiando muchos nuevos proyectos. ¿Has probado con ellos?
No he probado con ellos, todavía no. Ahorita trabajamos con Turner, que es Warner, y pues ya veremos qué pasa. Pero pues supongo que en algún momento caerá la cosa con Netflix.
Javier in Vancouver asks, what recommendations can you give to young inspired artists that would like to create cinema?
My biggest recommendation is to not complain, not think that it's heroic to make films. That you have to understand that if you're not making films, it's because you don't want to make films, not because you can't make films, not because people are not giving you money to make films. It's because you just are not willing to do what is needed to make films. And everything is in your hands to make films. And I mean feature films, not just short films, not just web series, not just shitty experimental school projects. I mean films that you can show in festivals or online or whatever. It's in your hands. That's my recommendation, is to stop being this sort of like sore victim that it's so hard, and the big masters of cinema. Fuck the big masters of cinema. You can be your own master of cinema and if you have a voice, you should be making films and we should be watching them.
Well, with that, we've finished. Marcelo, thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Just to remind everybody, Oso Polar, the feature film of Marcelo Tobar, is available today and tomorrow in a Vimeo link that is published at the website of the Vancouver Latin American Festival, also in the Facebook of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. La película Oso Polar está disponible hoy y mañana en el sitio web del Festival de Cine Latinoamericano de Vancouver, así como en la página de Facebook, que es la que están viendo en este momento. Cristian Mejía, nuestro miembro de la mesa directiva, vi que la puso el link de Vimeo ahí, está disponible hoy y mañana, así que gracias a todos. Thank you very much for having with us in this first chat with the director during these circumstances. We hope we keep doing these talks, not under these circumstances. Marcelo, muchas gracias. Tú vas a tener que terminar la charla, que estás a cargo de esta charla virtual desde las redes del festival.
Pero yo puedo atestiguar si te tomas de Hidalgo lo que te queda de tu chupe.
Salud.
Salud. Un placer, namaste.
Nada más.
No voy a pagarlo, me voy a quedar aquí 2 horas más hablando con la gente. Me vale más. Y voy a hablar de política, de política canadiense. Ya dinos, Cristian, ¿hay que votar por Trudeau otra vez o no? ¿Se puede reelegir Trudeau 3 veces?
Claro que sí.
Ah, puede quedarse como Angela Merkel.
Se reelige el partido, es otro sistema acá.
Ah, se reelige el partido y él es como
Él es el líder del partido, sí.
Él es como el Britney Spears del partido, así.
Él es el Britney Spears del partido.
Como del
por
Mickey
ahora.
Mouse Club. Qué padre, ¿ves? Así deberíamos de seguir media hora. Ya le voy a cortar. Adiós, amigos.